Right, so here she is. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So starting with underneath, everything, all the metal framework underneath has been painted with rust-proof black metal paint, which includes the 4 legs as well. So these rear light clusters are new. So they've got standard red lights, brakes, indicators, reverse light and fog light. And underneath here, if I can just see it, that box there, that's the connector box for all the wiring. So all the wires that go out to the LEDs at the side and at the back are all fused together there, and that's had brand new cabling as well to the front 7-pin socket. Then going around the side, so this whole bit here has been refurbished. It's been painted with weatherproof paint. These sockets here are for the poles that hold the lid up. Then you've got your wheels. So these have been completely resprayed, tidied up, and they have plastic covers on the bolts as well to stop them from rusting. Going around the front here, you can see the front has 2 stand legs as well. So when it's stationary, it's all stable, and you can just see there it's all been painted too. So going along to this bit here, that's a portable 20 amp battery, and you've got your standard 7-pin lead there, which is all brand new. That battery is for this electric jockey wheel. Okay, so this jockey wheel comes with a handle and a button, and it enables you to push the pod back and forth, and it also has a lockable clutch on it as well. So when you've got it turned one way, it will just move freely, and when you've got it locked, when you're using the electric to move the pod back and forth, wherever you stop it, it stops. So that's all pre-wired, all ready to go. Then you have your spare wheel at the front here. We also have a hitch lock. Okay, there's the design of the trailer, we made it. And this bit here is where the power goes in for your trailer. I've got a lead for that, which I'll show you shortly when we go to the inside. And it basically plugs in there, and it has a 3-pin plug on the end, and you just plug that into your wall or your extension lead. So there's another stabilizing leg there. I'll just show you underneath. So it has 2 wheel clamps, one on each side. Again, these have all been refurbished, and they have the rubber stops on them to stop them from going rusty. And the whole of the outside of the trailer has been painted as well. And then, as you can see here, you've got your other rear light. So moving up, this is the outside of the pod. So if you look closely, you just see the join here. So the ends are fiberglass, and the center is sheet aluminium, so it's very light. So these decals on here will peel off. They're vinyl decals, which you can buy for cars. I had these ones because they were much bigger. I had them specially made. There's a slight mark here in the middle there, which is being touched up with paint, and there's a bigger one here on the side. This wasn't me, but they've been touched up, and from a distance, this is the back of the pod anyway, it's not overly noticeable. So there's the 2 marks there, and then you have the front here. Oh yeah, there's a little mark here again, been touched up. Okay, so going around to this side. Okay, so these it's just an outer trim, and then these rubber bits here have been replaced on both sides, and you've got your decals. You can just see some touch-up paint in the middle here. And then this is a lockable handle. Did I mention the wheel clamp? What else we got? So as you can see, these have been replaced. These bits have been sprayed with luminous plastic dip, and that's so at night, because the UV light reflects off the lid and back down again, that will allow it to glow at the edges. It's just a little something extra I did. So as you can see, there's no marks. I think there was one or two here. Yep, one there, one there. Oh, and one on the T, just there. And then you've got this metal framework that runs along here with a handle. That's because originally I was going to use a strap, a ratchet strap to lift the lid up, but I decided that I preferred having metal poles as they'd be more sturdier. And if one pole fails, which it won't, the other pole's strong enough to keep it up. Whereas if I used a ratchet strap and it failed, I don't have a secondary support, so that's why I went for poles. But yeah, I put the handle on. Right, so let's open it up and then you can see inside. So moving on to the inside then, right, I'll just explain. I've got the lid propped open with my set of steps because it's right next to the bin cupboard, and I can't lift it all the way up because it fouls the bin cupboard. That's because parking's quite tight here and I have to use my own bay. Alright, so let's just start with this part here, which are the poles. So they go into there and then the top part goes into here. So this metal framework, and there's two of them, you see they're just lightly screwed in there at the moment, but you turn them over, so then this long bar, both of them are here underneath, and then you mount your lights on any of the holes that you want. Right, it's got one pre-wired power cable that comes through, and that goes all the way through, up, along the middle, over there, and it's plugged in over there. Now I've done that specifically so that all my lights are powered from those two plugs over there. You can change it if you want, there's plenty of cabling, but I wanted to be able to switch them all on at the same time, and those two plug sockets were ideal because they'd be right behind me. So yeah, so you've got two lots of brackets, and then this bit here at the bottom mounts in to there, so you've got plenty of stability. The thing is, this is metal sheet, okay, so it's not super heavy. You can't mount hundreds and hundreds of lights on it, but by having the weight distributed on these bars, it stops the sheet from buckling. You'll also see these two mounts here, and there's one at the other end as well. They were for original mounting poles. I chose not to use them because when the lid's lifted up and you use them, the pole then comes straight to the floor. And my worry was that I'd have, late at night, I'd have drunk customers that would come over, want to make requests or something, and might bang the pole. So I chose not to use them and instead mounted these other ones from there to there, which you should be able to see in the other pictures. Okay, so moving on to the inside, come this side a sec. So the lock has a bar that runs through both sides there. So this part here is the outer part of the trailer that I showed you earlier, and then you'll see that there's this shelf here which I've built to fit on top of that. So it's had new metal trim there, which is all sealed as well, so it's all waterproof. And then these just have two little hooks. That's one. That's two. And then that folds down like that. So I'll just show you. All right, so the reason I put this in is so that the whole floor is flat and level. All right, so my speakers, which are mounted on actuators there, I'll come to those in a moment, could electrically just be pushed out and then go back in again, and you can actually see the caster marks on the speakers. So that's all been done. Then these two red poles here, I'll just move them out of the way. All right, they're the red poles that hold the lid up, so they sit in the trailer. And they're nice, heavy, sturdy metal poles. In fact, one pole will hold the lid up more than adequately, but I've got two obviously because it looks better. All right, so then moving on. This is the Dex table. So this is 4 metal legs, and then there's a wooden platform that's screwed in the bottom there. And I've used some UV tape. I've had some really hot weather, and you can see where it's just come off. I do have spare UV tape as well, but it's not expensive. It's £7 for 30 meters on eBay or thereabouts. So I've used black trunking, and what I've done is I've put tape around it so that it looks as if it's all sort of electrified and glowing. So it's all pre-wired, all the cables are there, and then at the top this is your deck stand for your decks. So you have 3-pin power lead, and you have left and right XLR leads. This hole here I drilled afterwards, just need to put a bit of paint on that, because I realised I didn't have anywhere for my mic to sit, my wireless mic. So I put that in there so that the mic can just sit in that hole. Alright, let's start along the side. So this stuff on the floor here, you wouldn't normally keep in here, but I've just put it in here so it's all in one place. So we'll start with the wooden sides. They were just to add extra support whilst the trailer was moving. It had the speakers in. You've got your little metal handle here, which is for the 4 legs on the outside of the pod. You've got this metal handle here, which is for your jockey wheel, your electric jockey wheel. And then you have this here, which is your power supply thing for the outside. So that slots into the blue bit on the outside, and then at the other end of that, it's got a 3-pin plug. And then you can plug that into an extension lead, or if you're close enough to a building, directly into a plug socket. So everything you've seen in the pictures was all powered off of one 13 amp plug socket. It's been designed that way. So moving on to the side then. Alright, so let's start here. You have gas struts here. So these are the original gas struts that came with it. But because the original door didn't have any lights on, you need the poles at the moment. But I have bought 2 brand new replacement gas struts here. These haven't been used yet, they're still in their packaging. But you don't want to use them until you've decided which lights you want on the lid, because you need to work out how much weight you've got on your lid, and then once you've done that, you set your gas struts, because they're set at fully extended, and then you adjust them to the right gas weight that you need. Where are we going? Over here. So each side has this hidden UV batten which illuminates this white wall and the UV around it, and it's the same on this side as well. So these shelves were originally seats, purple seats, because this pod was designed for people to sit in and be given a sales pitch. So I still have the seats which will come with it. Underneath this side, and that shelf's just a Velcro. What's this? Alright, so in here you've got another spare plug socket that you can use. I think that one's wired to that box there, which is for 2 12-volt supplies. I'll come to those in a moment. And then you have the inbuilt transformer box with the breakers, and it gets checked. This is a exhibition trailer, so it doesn't need an MOT or anything like that every year, but it's good practice to have the electrical certificate done every 2 or 3 years. That was done in 2020, so that's all good. Alright, so the trailer itself comes with 6 plug sockets, and they're just standard 3-pin ones, 2 that side, 2 that side, and 2 at the back. But those 12-volt lines that I've got running go through the trunking at the bottom, come up the trunking here, and then they're attached to 2 switches here. So there is 5 switches here, 3 of them aren't used, so they're available for anything that you want to do. But 2 of them are used, and those 2 switches for 12 volts run these actuators. So the actuator is basically an electric extendable pole. So when you run the power, this end bit here, which I had screwed into the back of my speakers, this pole extends and pushes the speaker out, and then when you push the switch the other way, pulls the speaker in. So these are designed for, I can't remember, I think it was 500 kilos, half a ton. So they're more than adequate for a speaker, whichever one you've got, and also pre-wired you have the XLR cable. So these run from this speaker up to the top there. Oops, daisy. Okay. So also at the back you have two hidden batten, UV battens. So they light up back wall, which is all white. And you also have, I've also bought one of these extension leads. So this is all pre-wired, it's all good to go, but it's got some USB ports if you need it. And it also has two more extra plug ports if you want to add anything to. And then you've got your trunking that goes to your decks. So two more standard plug points over here, and then you have your actuator for your speaker on this side. Again, that just bolted in to the back of the speakers that I had. And then you have your pre-wired XLR cable, which runs up to the top there. Alright, under the shelf on this side, okay, I've got some spare bits of trunking which I've used, and then in that metal box is just some spare bits and bobs basically that came with the trailer. And then you can just see the wire there for the UV batten. Alright, and then just moving to the top. So it has, I'll just show you here, has its own pre-wired light switch, and this switch, when you switch it on, switches on these inbuilt lights at the back, at the top. Now they were white, but obviously I didn't want that, so I bought some plastic sheet and I cut out circles for the lights, stuck them on, and then I just stuck a bit of UV tape around the edges. Now I know that looks a bit crass, but it's from a distance, so when you look at it from the pictures, you can't see those curly bits. It just looks like it's all circular. I didn't want white lights, and I knew the whole thing would be lit by UV as well. So I think I've covered everything. So yeah, you've got 3 spare switches here that you can use. These little clips were for Equinox pulse tubes, which I've just left on actually. I just haven't taken them off. And then just lastly, this little thing here. So it's the final defense for the alarm. So we've got 2 wheel clamps. Then we've got the hitch lock on the front of the trailer where the tow bar is. You've got the lock on the front of the lid. And then this is your last line of defense, which is a remote control motion sensor thing. And yeah, so when you shut the lid, it just goes off. So I don't know if, yeah, I don't know if you can hear that. And then, hold on a sec. Should. Oh, no, wrong one. Okay, so that's off. And you can't get to that without triggering it. Yeah. So as I said, everything in here, so as well as these UV lights and everything else, I had Denon Prime 4 set up here, I had 2 HK speakers, and I had 6 Chauvet Mini Quintas on the front here, and all of that was powered from one plug, one little plug extension lead, which went into one socket, because I tested it first to see if it would all work from one plug. But it is wired so that you can use different extension leads as well. So if you wanted to run a separate extension lead and just run it into the trailer, you could. And then if you did it up there, you could plug in all your lights separately. But it all works. So yeah, it comes with some other extras. As I say, I've got 2 bench seats indoors, which come with it. And that is, I think that's everything. Took a lot of hard work getting it to this. A lot of errors, trial and error as well. And as I say, these here, basically you'll unscrew these bottom bolts and then you just flip this round. So this bar hanging here, and then you attach your lights to it. Alright, I think that's everything. I've been yakking on for ages, and that's your party pod.